Good evening, everybody. It's the 21st of May, so you know what that means, don't you? Of course, it's the World Day of Ambition. Woohoo! So here we are, Ambigo here with another one of our Hope Exchange events. This one a little bit extra special. So we are going to be doing something really nice tonight. We're going to be bringing together a load of people who are going to come on. They're going to individually share what their personal goals, ideas, and ambitions are. And then what we're going to do is ask you to offer them support to help make it happen. So it's a really simple thing. So Ambigo, that's what we do. Normally in person, we put on these events at physical locations where real human beings can interact, but now we've taken it online. So tonight we're going to be asking you to get in touch in 3 ways. You can support people with your information, contacts, advice for their ambitions by commenting underneath the Facebook Live video or on YouTube, the one you're watching right now. Or you'll see a link where you can click on that and it will bring you straight into this broadcast. Or you can send a WhatsApp message to Agatha on the number that will scroll across the bottom of your screen. So I'm here, and over in 5 ways, we've got Andy. Hi, Andy.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As Adam says, today is World Day of Ambition. It coincides and it's our response to the United Nations World Day of Diversity, the dialogue, diversity and development. In other words, beginning with D.
Absolutely wonderful. Let's get straight into it, shall we, Andy? Because we've got somebody ready and waiting to share their own personal goal, idea or ambition. And that person is Bryn. Good evening, Bryn.
Hello.
And how are we doing tonight, Bryn?
Yeah, good. It's a lovely evening. I did manage to get out earlier, so yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm good. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So how are you doing?
We've got a slight delay, I think, but no problem. I'm actually wearing a T-shirt for the first time for one of these, so that's all brand new. So tell us then, Bryn, what is your goal, idea, or ambition that you're coming into this online event tonight with?
Well, I work with Brighton Permaculture Trust, and we've got a project that takes fruits that would otherwise go to waste. And the ambition is to get more of it and get it and the juices that we make with it. Here's one I prepared earlier. Out. Yeah, I brought it along to tease Andy, really, because he loves it. And he always, he always wants some, but I thought I'd just show him it virtually just to whet his appetite. But it's to get it out to people who need it. So in the current crisis, there are a lot of people in food poverty struggling to get good food. There was beforehand, but the situation is so much worse. So we're working with a partner organisation, which is Fair Share Sussex, just down the road from Stanmer, where we make our juice, and they distribute it out to various food banks, various hostels, groups that work with social isolation, many other things. But that's what we want to do with it. Unfortunately, we can't afford to because it costs us to make. So one of the things that we need help with is paying for it to go out there, because we have got a little surplus to spare, which we would normally have supplied to cafes. But they're all closed at the moment. So it should be going to those people who need it. So we got an appeal for donations out. But we're also wanting help with getting more. It's approaching the fruit picking season. We're wanting help with volunteering to actually make the juice. People perhaps have got fruit in their gardens. And it's also a project that's self-financing. So it's... when people buy it, so we're wanting people to buy our produce. So lots of ambitions, I guess.
Yeah, but all centered around the same thing, making this juice and getting it out to the people who need it. So Absolutely. Tell me a bit about why you do this. Why is this an important thing for you to do?
As Brighton Permaculture Trust, we work with the twin aims of working with people and working with the environment. So it's socially important and it's environmentally important to reduce food waste, to make use of sustainable local food, and it's socially important to get it out there to people who need it.
It is really important. And I wonder for you personally, Bryn, Has this always been your mindset? Is it something you've always done? Or was there a point in your life when you thought, actually, now I'm going to dedicate myself to this because it feels more important than ever?
I've always been working in environmental and social issues since I started working, basically. Yeah,
Excellent.
which is quite a few years ago.
So what would you say is the number one thing that you're asking for at the moment from the people who are watching this? How can they help?
The most immediate thing is the donations. That's something that someone can do right now. They can go to brightonpermaculture.org.uk and make a donation. And that, for every £10 we receive, we'll be sending 6 bottles of juice to Fair Share. But we're not just asking for that, for the money. We're also asking, as I say, for help with those other things in the coming months.
Okay, and if they are interested in volunteering in making the juice and other things, then how do they get in touch?
Again, via our website is the best way, brightonpermaculture.org.uk. There's a volunteer mailing list which they can get to, and then they get weekly mailings about volunteering opportunities. At the moment, our volunteering is suspended, but we're just talking about restarting it, and we hope to have it restarted by at some point in June, ready for the fruit picking season. I should say we're focusing on one project, but Brighton Permaculture Trust does a lot more, including caring for orchards. So there's lots of other ways people get involved as well.
And what are the benefits of getting involved for those volunteers? What do they get out of it?
Fruit, juice, and getting out into some beautiful places, some fresh air, and some exercise, picking the juice. There's about 5 things. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, and just tell me, how do they taste, these juices?
Oh, do you want me to taste it in front of you?
Yeah, go on. We'll all taste it vicariously.
No, I won't take a swig of it now. Yeah, absolutely delicious. Juice as it should taste. Andy will tell you he loves our juice.
Well, he can tell us right now. Andy, is that?
Oh, hang on. I'm the disembodied voice. So let me get my face on the screen so that we can actually see the expression that I have. There we go. Hey, Bryn, it's nice to see you again. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you.
And yes, I'm happy to endorse the juice. I was able
the product.
Yep, the product. And I know that you guys blend it with certain lovely flavors. There's a lovely golden ginger one that you've put out, which is really warming, great for winters. There's also a sort of one that there's a pear mixed with turmeric, as I recall.
So we've got a whole range of juices. The basic is the apple or the apple and pear. Then we've had apple and kiwi. With Hove kiwis, people don't think they grow in Hove, but they do. Apple and cherry, apple and grape, and then, as you say, the flavoured ones. Some with chili, some with ginger, some with turmeric and black pepper. So a whole range. Mint.
It is pretty exciting.
It is. Yeah, they're great. They're great. They're really.
It's really nice to hear that. Your partnership with Fair Share and getting to those people who would, who are struggling getting food in at the moment. And these are particularly difficult times, especially with more of us going into furlough and losing our jobs and so on. So there's even more pressure on food banks. Being able to
absolutely.
Being able to. Sorry, carry on.
Well, I mean, the likes of Fair Share normally get a lot of their food from supermarkets, stuff that's close to going out of date.
Yes.
And of course, with people panic buying, the supermarkets have had a lot less to give them, whilst the demand for what they provide has been greater. So they're under strain.
And of course, we mustn't forget the fact that there's a really lovely sustainable element to what you're doing. There's an eco usage of the fruit that's around, and it gives us this wonderful use of the resources.
There's tons and tons of fruit still. Just think of someone who's got a large fruit tree in their back garden, and they can't use all the fruit from it, and so a lot goes to waste. It can be a nuisance to them. So why not? Ideally, pick it and bring it along to us, or get in touch with us, and we might be able to come and collect it.
Fantastic. Okay, what I'm going to do is just take you through the process. That's process with hairy quotes, by the way. And to do that, I have to move back to being a disembodied voice. Here I am. I'm now the disembodied voice that goes next to a sheet of paper, which we call an ambition calling card. And what I want to do with you is just check that I've captured the essence of what you've said, because this becomes the thing that we link all the comments to. So here we are, Bryn. You work with the Brighton Hove. Shall I try and put my teeth back in? You work with the Brighton Permaculture Trust, which, amongst many other projects, is currently running this lovely kind of a juice from fruit making activity. And you're really focusing, as you've said, on getting the juice through to people who are struggling to source their own food and so on. Hence the partnership with FareShare and those people in sort of low income, really kind of dire straits.
Indeed.
And the most important thing at the moment is really to enable you to get this stuff through to FareShare. So the very first call is, can people donate some money? Hate to say it, but sometimes money actually really helps here. And I know that you've got expenses there. I know I'm getting the bottles that I have from the juice that I have back to you at some point and so on. But the cleaning and rebottling and so on, there's work that goes into all of that.
Absolutely, yes.
And you were saying that as little as how much we'll get 6 bottles through to FareShare?
For every £10, we're sending 6 bottles to FareShare, yeah.
Great, half a dozen for a tenner. And it is quality stuff. They're quite large bottles. They're sort of the sort of supermarket large things.
Well, we've got we're doing a mixture of sizes. So this is our smallest bottle. So we're doing a mixture of sizes. This is a 33 milliliter bottle. So it is a mixture of those sizes we're getting through to them. They actually want some of the smaller sizes because they're more suited to give to people individually.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're sort of nicely pocketed. They won't go off and stuff like that once you've opened them. And of course, donations of fruit. And of course, here we are hitting up the early harvest time. And if you have fruit trees or fruit available, then get in touch and we'll help you get the fruit through to the Brighton Permaculture Trust. And of course, and we've seen it in the news as well. There is need for people to pick fruit, and that sounds like something that Bryn and his colleagues and so on will be able to help you up with. And what could be better, especially in a weather like this, to get out there under the sun, pick the fruit, and know it's going back into our community, back into a way that's going to help everybody. A real double benefit to everybody, as well as getting out there into the sunshine yourself. And of course, the very last thing I heard you say, which I've been able to take part in myself, is to buy some of the juice from you guys direct, because the profit there helps you kind of feed into the community projects and so on.
Exactly.
Bryn, have I captured that about right?
Yes, that is exactly it. The 4 points. I jotted them down myself before joining you on air, so that is exactly it. You've got it exactly right. I should say that for those who want to come and see the juice being made, we do it at Stanmer on weekend days through the late summer and autumn into the early winter.
Presumably not at the moment.
No. From when the fruit's ripe, it's all seasonal stuff. So the very first fruit will be ripe beginning of August, probably late July, possibly.
Well, there's a good chance come August you'll be able to have some people come out. Yeah,
well, there's people in the yes. People are still volunteering in essential services, including food production. So we will be able to. It might be limited numbers at a time. We're going to have to work it all out, but people will still be able to help us. Yes.
It's useful. You don't want the fruit going rotten on the branch, as it were. So
absolutely not. No.
Well, let me explain what's going to happen. I stand in front of you, in front of the wall of ambitions. Now, this is a 7.5 foot tall black wall that normally goes out onto the streets with us, or to festivals or parties or stuff like that. And here we take people's ambitions, which we put onto an ambition calling card, and we put them prominently on the wall. Now, normally we invite people to write their own ambitions. In fact, we have this lovely sort of picnic table arrangement, often festooned with nibbles and snacks provided by one of our funders, the local corporate community fund. And they get to write their own ambition, put it on the wall, and we gently invite people in to browse the wall of other people's ambitions, which is great because it gives them inspiration, it lets them know what's going on, and if at all possible, if they find they're able to, they can grab one of the many post-it notes that are lying around at our wall and put up a comment, which we love. We invite those comments, little words of encouragement, little words of support, sometimes words of advice that can be really useful, especially if it's something that the ambitioneer, which is what we like to call people, especially if it's something that they may not have thought of already, because those extra thoughts can be really, really useful. Of course, if people know someone who can actually do something, like they know somebody who is fit, able, and would benefit from volunteering, and they want to nominate them or nudge them over to you guys, then that kind of thing would be really useful. Or they know of somebody who has, or they have one of those old orchards in their back gardens, and there are little smatterings of those all over Brighton, which is
indeed, yeah,
to be able to harvest and channel that through to yourselves. That too is a nice thing to be able to connect with. And of course, one of my favorites is those people who get excited by what you're doing and want to join you. And this is the volunteering thing, being able to come in, check in with you guys, get the right sort of timings to safely go and help harvest the fruit, or maybe get involved in some of the back office stuff that you might need, and so on. That basically is what this wall is about. And we normally sit there in places like New Road, or Kemp Town Carnival, or wherever, somewhere nice and popular in the city, and allow people to meander in and out. Today is slightly different, and I'd like to welcome everybody from across the seas in other countries and so on who have joined us tonight, because we're running the World Day of Ambition. And this is our little reach out to other countries to say, come and join us. Come and do the same if you want to. Come let us know what you're doing, and let's just reach a little bit further than our normal backyard, which basically is here in Brighton and Hove and the surrounding areas. Bryn, thank you very much for that. Did you want to say anything else to that post up there?
No, I should have thought of something I'd forgotten to say, but
No worries.
I think I managed to say it all.
Yes, you did. It was very concise and fruity. I'm going to regret saying that.
Yeah, all those puns about low-hanging fruit, they all come out in orchard projects.
Yes, planting little seeds. Yeah, no, I think it's at this point that I'm going to ask Adam to jump in and save us from the really bad puns. And Adam, may I invite you to share with everybody how it is they could possibly send in comments or come on the show and make comments to help Bryn's ambition.
Yeah, so if there's anything that you can help with for Bryn's ambition, then you can get in touch by leaving a comment underneath this video that you're watching right now, or you can click on the link that you'll see next to the video, and that will bring you into this broadcast right here, and we'll be able to bring you in and you can share your support, whatever it is. And the other option is to send a message on WhatsApp. You'll see a phone number scroll across the bottom of the screen in just a moment, and Agatha is ready and waiting to deal with your messages. So a handsome chap has actually left a comment on Facebook. Adam says, there's the website address. So no need to write it down, Andy. It was just to share that's the web address if you're watching and you've actually gone, yeah, I think I would like to volunteer for this, or, I would like to put some funds towards it. Then
or
there
fruit.
we are. Yeah, or fruit. Yeah. So thank you so much, Bryn. It's been fantastic.
Pleasure.
Open our online event tonight. And we'll come back to Andy in a little while after we've gone to our next participant. So thanks, Bryn. Much appreciated. And we'll be in touch if and when we hear any support for you and your ambition.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Bryn. Have a good evening. Okay, so that's the first person down. We've got several more people to come. And actually, we've got a an opportunity later on. If you wanted to share your own personal goal, idea, or ambition, then you can actually join in. So click on that link that is right underneath or on top of this video, and you'll be able to join us in this broadcast, and you can share your personal goal, idea, or ambition, and we'll invite the watching public to offer their support. They might want to give you some information, contacts, advice, or something else. Maybe they'll want to join you in what it is that you want to do. So it's so easy. Just do it, and we'll have a nice little chat about whatever your ambition is. Okay, let's go to the next participant, who is somebody we've spoken to before, who's got so many ambitions that she's back again with another one. Good evening, Helen.
Hello. Yes, thank you for having me again. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about an ambition that is very close to my heart. Last time I was talking about something which was like a hobby thing. This is something an awful lot more than that. So I have been a nurse in the NHS for 32 years now, and urgent care is a bit of my thing. And I have received in that time lots of support. Now I feel I'm in a position where I can support others, as do other people if you've been in the profession for a while. So the idea of a social enterprise called Practical Wisdom was an ambition I'd had before, but obviously due to COVID, I thought, oh, let's make that happen now. And then I dragged in a few other friends to help. So there's a very small team of us who are volunteering our time, and we have the ambition to do a couple of things. But the first one that we're trying to do in June is actually a wellbeing conference for healthcare staff, because actually it's taken the toll on a lot of us. I got to say I've been quite fortunate. We know it's been a bonkers time with all this, everything that's gone on during COVID and the 2 meter rules and stuff like that. But the healthcare staff haven't been able to keep 2 meters. You can't actually throw a flannel from 2 meters. You have to be right there with people, and that's where we should be. And that's what we love to do. So no regrets. However, it has put our families at risk. And it has put us at risk, and unfortunately in those tolls of the deaths is healthcare staff as much as anybody else. So although some of us who are fortunate enough to be in certain positions where you might be able to work virtually, most of the job isn't about that. And we want to provide an event that supports some of the other stuff that the trusts are doing and the hospitals and stuff, but to actually be responsive to what they're asking that they need to help, maybe with some of the trauma, a bit of humour, a bit of anxiety management. There's a whole host of things we'd like to do, but we want it to be pertinent and relevant to them. So that's our ambition for June. And what we would like to do is a conference that is online, because everything is now, but also for that to be recorded and available for them on a website as well. Now, I've never done anything like this before. This has all been new. We're all learning from scratch. We've all, like all adults like me, learned how to use Zoom and things like that. So I and my colleagues are giving their time for free. The web designer has managed to do it for a reduced cost, and we've also got the speakers who are going to be doing it for free as well. But there are still some costs associated. So we are trying to do some crowdfunding as well. So
Fantastic.
yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Who are some of the speakers that you've got involved?
Sorry, who are
some of the speakers?
Yeah, so we're going to have somebody, for example, to be talking about insomnia and lack of sleep, because it's quite hard either because you're wired or because you're worried to sleep. So we've got a speaker involved for that. We've also have somebody be talking about nutritional hints and tips as well. And somebody else talking about actually how music might be able to help, because actually music can be used in interesting ways as a uplifting. And we're also currently doing a survey where we're checking with the staff is what specific, I mean, you know, there's things I could definitely advise on, but we also want to check if there's anything we're missing that they would like as well.
And can you tell us a little bit about how psychologically challenging it has been the last 2 or 3 months for people in that?
Yeah, I mean, so there was a couple of things we needed to do. We needed to work even harder than normal to make sure that everyone in the hospitals and the communities, you know, that we had the bed capacity. I mean, everybody who needed a respiratory equipment or an incubator, everything had one actually, which is amazing. But for that to happen, we didn't have empty places. Our hospitals were pretty full. And so the hospital staff had to work hard, and then the community staff supporting them. You know, it's been a whole system, and working closely with the local authority. So we had to do more than we normally do at pace. And then obviously there was obviously caring for the patients who had COVID as well. And we had PPE for some of it, and we didn't always, actually, as we know. That was a bit of an issue, but people still went in, and you can imagine that's quite traumatic. I read some of the posts. I belong to an NHS group. Obviously I can't give out any specifics, but you know, there's one person was a nurse and the other one was a paramedic, and their son, who was 15, ended up in ITU with COVID because they brought it home. You know, and he was being amazing about it, that child. But you know, you know, we have been put at the forefront of a war, but we're not the army. We're healthcare workers. And you know, all the front line, because I know that's a broader term, have been in positions that we just may not be familiar with. The NHS as a whole, we've all moved around. We've acted like it's a major incident, but normally a major incident is like one day. I've worked through loads of major incidents, but this has been months. So you know, there's, you know, people are tired. We don't want to burn them out, but some of them are. You know, staff have been going off with stress, but obviously a lot of staff are being kept on going. And I imagine now, as things are reducing a little bit, there's time to breathe, but that's always the time when you just get a chance to realize what's just happened. You know, it's a global pandemic, something we've never seen before. So I speak to a lot of different staff, and it affects them in lots of different ways. So some are absolutely fine. We do like wearing our pants on the outside and going save the day. That's what we do as well. But it's taking our toll, you know, in different ways. And we know that actually well-being is an issue for all of us, actually, who have been going through COVID. But the trouble is when you're at the front line, you're exactly that. You're at the front line as well as all the other things that have been going on.
Wow. So tell us, what do you actually need help with to make this conference happen?
So I think it would be really helpful if could get the word out about what we're doing. So if people are able to contribute, that would be amazing. We have a lot of speakers already lined up, so we're quite lucky for that. And we've also got a web designer now. So I think it's about an ambition to get the word out, really. I have exhausted all my Facebook friends, and they're not avoiding me, luckily, but they can't in the virtual world. But it's about getting the word out, really, and what we're trying to do, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll be getting the word out as well. Is there a web presence for it yet?
No, well, that's needs to be built, and I mean, at the moment, you know, all the funds is literally a very expensive hobby for me. So a web designer is currently started, but that'll probably take a couple of weeks. Yeah, in time for the conference, though, which is the main thing. And
have you got a date for that in the diary?
We're going to probably aim for about mid-June. We'll be setting the date early next week.
Oh, okay, right. Well, make sure you tell me, and we can get it out there, because we'll be spreading the word as far as we can. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks
so much. Ellen. Thanks for all you're doing, first of all. And let's head over to Andy now, who's been scribing what you've been describing, and let's see if he's been able to take it all down. Andy.
Hello again, Helen. It's lovely to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Hiya.
Hi, and I'd like to thank you for the candor, for giving us the insight into what's going on. We say superficially out here the support for our carers and so on, and there's a sincerity behind it, but the detail you're sharing with us, I think, really helps bring it home. So thank you for that. Now, as you know, my role here is to try and capture your ambition on what we call an ambition calling card. What I'd like to do with you now is just check that what I've written is pretty much what you said. Now, you shared with us that you've been a nurse for something like 32 years, and there's a lot of experience you've gained in there. So you come to a point, you've been thinking about it beforehand, and coming to a point of being able to lend support back into the profession. Lived experience and expertise, that makes sense to me. And of course, now is a really good time to do it, because as you have eloquently said, your colleagues, the profession is under a particular stress, and as an extreme crisis situation, this has been long. It's not just been a one incident, it's been a long incident. And so you're looking at starting with a well-being conference for healthcare staff, working towards a suite of support going on into the future. So this is a sort of your launching point, as I understand it. And you've got
that's spot on.
Yeah, sorry.
I said, yeah, that's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you're looking at being able to do the conference online, but also create a series of videos and downloadable resources from the learning that's shared in that space, so that others can use it after the fact, or maybe delegates can come back and refresh their knowledge. And it sounds wonderful that you have so many people coming forward and giving their time and expertise for free into that space. Plus, you know, there you are as well. Now, when it comes to your call for help, the one that I noticed that you said at the end was really, it's about raising awareness for this event. And as Adam said, we're going to be very happy to sort of push the word out once you get that date sorted and the location and so on. And here and now, you know, let's get the talk happening. You've also said that there are running costs, and this is true of everything. And I think this is a particularly worthy thing. So I've written there as a second line, there's a need for help with the running costs. Did you say you're putting together some sort of fundraising pathway so that people might be able to support with that?
Yes, I've got a crowdfunder that I'm currently in the middle of. Yeah. I think I could send you the link. Yeah. Please
do, and we will put. In fact, Adam, whose middle name is I've Got Your Back, has put up that crowdfunder then and there. Thank you very much, Adam. Yes, so we'll be happy to direct people through to that. And of course, you talked about you got someone doing the web technicals. Did I understand that you might be wanting more help with the technical support, or is it all covered?
I think, well, the web page is covered. I actually maybe on the day some help on how to do the conference, because I've never done one.
That's what I heard you say. Someone who might have that experience, who can maybe give you some tips and advice to help make your particular event run smoothly.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Great, Helen. What I'm going to do then is swap the cameras around, and we'll zoom out, and I shall bring you in. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you. Here I am, and here I am in front of the Ambigo Wall of Ambitions. Today only, we're going out to the entire world, and thank you very much for those of you who've tuned in from overseas. It's lovely to see you, and it's lovely to share with you, and we'll be very interested in what you have to share back. Now, on this wall, I would like to take the calling card, the ambition calling card that I've drafted for you, and place it high and prominent on the wall. Now, as you've heard me say, normally we take this 7.5 foot tall wall out to public spaces, and we have a little bit of a party sort of thing, often with snacks provided by many people. In this case, often by one of our funders, the local co-op community fund, and it's cupcakes and stuff like that. It's really lovely. And we sort of have a little bit of gathering, and people start browsing the wall. And so here it's the same thing. I stand ready with my array of multicolored pens and post-its to scribe on behalf of others, because sadly they can't come here. We'd like them to, but sadly we can't. and get any comments out there. And it may be some tips and advice, something that you may not have thought of, like a way of mirroring the conference so it goes out in multiple places or something. I don't know. Someone may have a brilliant idea out there, and please share it. And of course, if it's something that Helen hasn't thought of and it's useful, then we'd love it. Of course, if it's something that Helen has thought of and it isn't really useful to her, say it anyway, because it might have been. But it's also nice to get that pot of thoughts going. Now, did I understand rightly? You said that you may have some more spaces for other speakers if they have a specialty that's particularly interesting.
We might be able to. Yeah, we've got quite a lot, so it depends what comes up. Yeah.
So if there's someone out there who has a particular viewpoint, then if not for this conference, then at least let Helen know that skill set is there, because her being able to connect that skill set with those people who are going through this particularly stress-ridden, constant hyper-vigilant point of having to work in difficult situations with very little self-care, or the risk of little self-care, that's going to be useful, I am sure. And of course, anyone who could possibly get involved to help out. If you happen to be a whiz at doing conferences and you've been furloughed, but you're sitting on top of these skills, come and join Helen. I mean, where better can you use these skills? And we'll happily put you in touch. Helen, it's a joy and a pleasure to be able to put that up for you.
Thank you.
I really hope we get lots of good stuff coming in.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I know that today you're working internationally. This is a global pandemic, so we will be making sure that the website that you can click, so Google Translate, and it can be in different languages. Unfortunately, the conference will be just in English, but it is open to any healthcare workers who want to participate.
Oh, that's great. And of course, it opens up those connections and so on. That's a lovely thing. Adam, I'm going to call Adam back in to join us, because he delights in letting people know how they can join us here live in this show, or possibly send messages. And I can't take that pleasure away from him. Adam, would you be kind enough to share that information with us?
Yes, it's a thrill. So I'm going to tell you that you can get in touch in one of three ways. You can either leave a message underneath this Facebook Live video, or the video on YouTube if you're watching there, and it will come through to us and we can put it on the screen. Or you can send a message to Agatha on the WhatsApp number right there. It'll come back around at the bottom of your screen. Or you can do the other thing, which is click on the link that's right next to this video, and you will join us here in this broadcast, and you can share yourself personally what it is that you can offer. So I just thought what I'd do, what we've got a last minute or so, is actually share the page that we just put up the link to a moment ago. So let's see if I can niftily do this. And this is the crowdfunding page for the conference.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
We can really see that you're actually just over halfway already.
Yeah.
So that's superb.
And those photos are genuine people doing the job.
Yeah.
And we even get a lovely video from yourself as well, presumably knowing what it's all about.
Yeah, that's embarrassing, but yeah. Yeah. I have learned so many things I've never done before.
Good for you, Helen. I think that's the right attitude to life. And, let's face the scary stuff, the new stuff, and hopefully enjoy, as well as making it useful.
Yeah. Well, I've just donated and it took less than 60 seconds. So if you're out there thinking, oh, yeah, well, maybe I will, just do it. You can do it so quickly, so easily, and it will make a huge difference, because it will allow this conference to go ahead and benefit so many people.
Right now.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say before you go, Helen?
Just that I'm really, really grateful for you guys letting me on, and anyone who donates or spreads the word. It's amazing. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. So we'll be in touch when we've managed to get a bit more support probably coming through for you. And we'll also make a social media post about it, and we'll be updating everybody as well. Once you've got the date in the diary, we'll share it and the links and everything else when the website's up and running as well. Okay, wonderful.
Great.
Right, we'll see you again in another couple of weeks with your next ambition, I suppose, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye. You'd be
Okay.
very welcome.
Wonderful. Well, Andy, we've had 2 ambitions down, and we've got several more to come as well.
Great.
And I can just see we've got our next guests preparing themselves, and they'll be ready and raring to go in just a moment, I'm sure. I'll just remind you watching, if you want to actually contribute your personal goal, idea, or ambition, then feel free. So you can use those same 3 contact methods as well. You can just leave a comment, if you like, underneath this video saying, hey, I've got a goal that I'd like to share. And we might just have a little bit of time to share it a little later on and see if we can get the word out there and get some support for you, no matter what it is that you want to do. So you can leave a comment underneath this video. You can click on the link that's next to this video and join us here on the broadcast, or you can send a message to Agatha on WhatsApp, and the number's right there. There we are.
There it is, yes.
Okay, we'll be back with you, Andy, in just a little while, but let's go to our next guests. And we've not just got 1 guest, we've got 3, and here they are. So Brian, and is it Jason? You're gonna have to squeeze in together so we can see you both.
Hello.
So we've got Brian there with the blue line. And then over on the right, we've got Janet. So thank you. Welcome to this World Day of Ambition special event. And I'm going to go to you first, Brian. Please tell us all about what your ambition is.
Well, my long-term ambition is for the people in my community to live as long as the rest of their peers in Brighton and Hove. Because where we live, people die 12 years younger than the rest of Brighton and Hove, and they have 13 years of ill health. So that's 25 years that people take for granted in the rest of the city. That's my long-term goal. But to achieve that, we're going to supply fruit and vegetables to people. So the way to good health is a good diet, and so we want people to have fair access to affordable foods. In my community, that doesn't really happen, and which is why the East Brighton Food Co-op's being set up. So my long-term ambition is for my community to live as long as everyone else in Brighton. But short and medium term, we just want to share the love, and we want to have food, we want to cook food for people, we want to eat with people, and we just want to celebrate food and with food culture, to be introduced to people, and all community cooking, and to teach people about food and just enjoy food, for what it should be. Because food is medicine.
Talk us through how
we love sharing it with people.
Talk us through how the project has developed over the last few weeks since the lockdown began.
Well, basically, I mean, we've been working on this for a few months. So we were setting up a fruit and veg box delivery scheme in June so people could access affordable, fresh, nutritious food. But obviously, COVID-19 has overtook us. So we put all plans on hold, and we set up as soon as it started, we knew it was going to hurt our community more than others, because a lot of people on short-term contracts here. So they weren't getting furloughed, they were just being put out of work. So we knew that we had to step up to the plate, because there was no other people doing it. So we set up a meal service on the Bristol Estate Community Hall. We opened up the community hall that had been shut for 8 months, and we started cooking. And, we were doing 40 meals a day there. And then I spoke to Jill Williams, sorry, Jill. Jill is a wonderful woman. She's running there. She's a councillor for East Brighton, but she got us our second kitchen at Robert Lodge. And and she's also answering our phone service. So Jill Williams, thank you very much for all your great work. And so we've set up 2 food kitchens now and food hubs. One on the Bristol Estate, where we're sending out about 50 meals a day and sending out 50 food parcels a week. And also at Whitehall Kitchen, where we're sending out 120 meals a day. And we're also sending out about 80 food parcels a week. And the demand for the meals have steadied at about 110, 120, but the demand for the food parcels are going up. I visited Worthing yesterday, and they were shutting down their food parcel distribution hub because they said the demand there had stopped. But in Whitehawk, the demand is increasing because the after effects of COVID-19 are going to be with our community due to the fact that the people have been put out of work. They've got no money. They're not getting 8% of their salary. So it was bad before COVID-19. Well, we need a separate offering for East Brighton, basically. East Brighton needs all the stuff that's happening in Brighton and Hove. It goes into a central fund. Nothing ever comes to East Brighton. So, like, going forward, we would like a separate food youth offering for East Brighton because we need it, because this is a neglected area. And thank you for having us on the show so we can share the news with everyone. But come on, we'll be looking at a fair chance here for everyone. So I'd like for people with East Brighton to be given a fair chance. And that's in regards to being able to access affordable food and children having like proper youth services.
Amazing. It's incredible work that you've been doing, and you've been recognised by the mayor as well. But what I want to know is about the horse as well. What's the story behind the horse?
I'm going to leave this with you, Jason.
Well, the horse and cart, they're friends of ours. They come down and help us deliver the food parcels once a week. And they're just there to make it easier for our delivery drivers. And it's really nice for the locals to get the kids out when they're getting something, you know, that you don't really want to be asking for. If it comes to you in a royal carriage, you feel like you deserve it, I think. And the children love it. They don't get to go out, you know, because we're on lockdown, and it's a bit of fun for them, isn't it?
It's magnificent. And Janet, I wonder if I can ask you about what kind of feedback you've been getting from members of the community who have benefited from this.
It's generally just been very thankful, really, just lovely. Everyone's been very gentle, really, for want of a better word, very sweet. People really appreciate it. We've got lots of people who've been on the books, on our list since the beginning, and they haven't left the house. They haven't left out. And some of our delivery drivers and so the horse maybe for families, but for a lot of individuals, where anyone delivering a meal is one of the only people they'll see. And it's nice. We've got a regular thing going on. We've got a brilliant delivery person, Tim, and he's built up good relationships with people over this period, just popping in and being like someone that they see and they know that's coming. So it's been really good. And now we're starting to get people sort of contact us about dropping food. Oh, hang on. Dropping in about actually dropping food parcels because they know that we're actually doing more food parcels. Well, the food parcels are increasing. And so people are offering, like asking us, you know, how can we drop food into you so that you can distribute it to other people? It's just sort of quietly happening, really, with the Facebook, having a website, getting it all rolling, everything happening. It just sort of, the word gets out and the need is there.
And without what the East Brighton Food Co-op is delivering, what would things be like?
I dread to think.
Very difficult.
I dread to think.
Lots of our clients are finding it hard to feed themselves, and they're just really glad that they're getting at least one meal a day. Some of them haven't left the house in a long time. I've got a couple of young people with mental disabilities that they genuinely don't leave the house, and the care they're not getting is good, but it's not enough for them. So they really, really appreciate and need the food that we're giving them. And I think it's a strain on the community.
I mean, we've been serving lunches. We've been doing food parcels since March the 23rd. We've been serving lunches since March the 30th. We've done this through the East Brighton COVID Support 19 Fund because, big organisations are very, very slow to respond. And if it hadn't been for the East Brighton COVID Support 19 Fund, there would have been no one fed in our community. And we opened up an unused community hall in the Bristol estate, and then we have opened up the Robert Lodge kitchen. But we're serving 170 lunches a day from those kitchens, and we're doing 140 food parcels a week to families. This didn't exist before we set it up, but it's good to see that bigger organisations are now getting on board and opening up other kitchens and that, because it's good to see. But I mean, it just shows that in big organisations can't react the way smaller organisations can. And so it makes a big argument in regards to funding that the trickle-down policies didn't work from the Conservatives in the 80s, and they don't work in Brighton. So we need a separate offer for East Brighton. It's as simple as that. The facts and figures speak for themselves. So if there's any policymakers out there watching, please look at the facts and figures and do the sums for yourself. East Brighton deserves better. You know, the health and equality figures speak for themselves. Please, change direction and start doing things properly in this community, please. Because we can't do it, but we've been set up. We've been set up because there ain't no offering in East Brighton. There ain't no cookery class in East Brighton. There ain't no nutrition classes for your children in East Brighton. It just doesn't.
Janet, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Yes,
it looks like Brian and Jason are frozen there, so we'll have to just let them drop for a moment. But Janet, what's the future for the project, for the co-op?
Well, the original reason for the co-op was to set up the food and sort of getting fresh fruit and vegetables and nutrition out into East Brighton, which Brian's very much the sort of driving force for. And it's to set up the veg box scheme, fruit and veg box scheme, a fruit box scheme, and create cookery courses, lunch clubs, like everything about nutrition and food in East Brighton. And the veg boxes will be the next thing, and actually making them affordable. Everything to do with the emergency kitchen is because of COVID-19, which obviously that just threw everything in a completely different direction. So we kind of went straight into helping with the emergency food aspect of that and creating the kitchens. And now we're kind of like, well, actually, we still really need the food. We still need fruit and vegetables. Everybody does. And to try and just keep the whole momentum going. So we're going to be launching the food and vegetable scheme, hopefully in the next kind of week or two, and like have a sponsorship element to that. So, you can have one and then sponsor somebody else to have a fruit and veg box and get something delivered to somebody else. And that's going to be a whole other pile of things to sort out and do. So we've been working on that, and the boys have got the poster. I've got a really terrible backdrop, sorry, to my video. I don't know how to. I didn't sort this out at all well with the towels.
Well, don't worry. Yeah. Like, you know what?
Totally
so I'm broadcasting this at the moment from my ironing board. Everybody, you're sat on the ironing board. So, it's lockdown. The rules go out the window, so no one cares. But Janet, could you just really detail for us what you would like to ask from the people watching this? How can they help you develop this, grow this, and keep the service going and growing?
Oh, right. Well, really, by sort of joining the co-op and joining the fruit and veg box scheme and getting deliveries of fresh fruit and vegetables to people who can afford it and can afford to sponsor someone else. And we want to make it affordable for everybody, but basically join the food scheme, because we've kind of ended, lots of people will be delivering more, and Brian will be sourcing more different types of food. We'll look into different ways of growing and sourcing and buying food. But we're not going to really be able, we're getting funding and donation to do the food kitchen. But in the future, we'll need to sustain the whole of the East Brighton food cooperative ethos, which is to just make sure everybody's got good food. It's very affordable. We can create employment through the food cooperative. We can create cookery courses. We can just do everything to do with food. Is kind of the big love bug in the room, really, for everybody. It's just to get it all rolling, but keep it located in East Brighton, and make sure that particular area is really embraced, and we could get everybody on board. So that's sort of the long-term plan.
So
and it just is five. It's fun. It's good to like good food cheers everyone up. If you give people food, they're so happy. We all are. It's just a very, very pleasurable. Oops, my screen gone dark. Sorry. It's a good thing to do, and it's sort of proving to be popular. But we'd like to expand it more, and obviously, when hopefully we can all. I know lockdown's over, but we've all got masks on because we need to still be very careful when we're delivering. obviously, and I'm still not convinced about it. I'm like, well, let's just do the mask thing for a little bit longer. So that's why we're all wearing masks today.
We've got Jason back. So,
excellent.
Jason, you're back with us.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Janet,
I also
you go ahead.
sorry. I also wanted to mention we really want to get the 16 to 18-year-olds to get involved, and we really want to try an apprenticeship scheme where we get an apprentice in and we train them up to maybe a level 1, but that's admin and kitchen work with myself. And I've got 17 years in the rosette industry and a wealth of information to teach the people. And I want to go there and I want to spend my time teaching them, and they need it because there is nothing in the area. No one's even acknowledging them. You know, you never hear of, oh, White Hawk this, or oh, White Hawk that, or East Brighton this. It's always bad things, never good. No one ever wants to put anything into it. And it's a shame. And we all want to try and make the place better for them all.
And we're so thankful that you do. And this would be a good time to head over to Andy. So he's had a lot to write because you're doing an awful lot. And he's over in the 5-Way studio, writing down everything to do with your ambition. So I'm going to hand over to Andy now.
Wonderful.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Jason. Hey, Janet.
Hi.
And hey to Brian as well. I'm sorry I can't see you at the moment, but hey, Brian as well.
Hello, back.
Thank you all for coming on the show. My role here is to just check with you what we've written. And when I say we, I mean me. What I've written on a ambition calling card, which is our way of trying to capture what you're sharing with us. So here we go. Brian, you said it very, very eloquently, so I hope I've caught it, that your long-term ambition is for the people in your community basically to live as long as everybody else around. Yeah, that equality in what's that long word? Longevity. It's a really good ambition. I hear where you're coming from. And in the very, very first place, this is about good food, good diet. So you're starting with that fresh food and veg, and also the wonderful added thing of sharing food together, making it, cooking it, eating it, and the community around it. So it's not just the nutrients, but it's also the social element. That's what I'm hearing from you. Is that about right?
Yeah, Andy, when COVID-19 is over, all the people that have been having lunches from us, we're going to have a massive lunch club, and we will relay on minibuses if they need picking up, and we're going to have a massive lunch club for all the people that have been stuck indoors during COVID-19, having our lunches. We're going to have a big lunch party for everyone, we're looking to set up lunch clubs all over East Brighton every day of the week, because what we're looking to do is to utilise community assets that are already there. We've got community centres everywhere in the community that are only open one day a week.
Yeah.
So I'm working with Jill Mitchell, the East Brighton councillor. She's absolutely brilliant, and she's leading the campaign, and I'm going to be helping her, hopefully. Right. But she's doing a great job. But we're looking at community assets, and we want them open.
Yes.
We want these community assets open, serving their communities 7 days a week. Because community halls that are closed are no good to communities.
That's great. I celebrate that. I think it's a fab idea.
It's brilliant, and Jill Mitchell's working on the case, so hopefully we can help her in that.
William.
Yeah. So carrying on, if I may, you've got a series of box deliveries going on, and it was nice of you to tell us something like 170 lunches going out daily and 140 food parcels in the Bristol Estate and White Hawk areas, which they're the less well-off parts of the city. Jason, I so love the idea of the horse and the way that you change the relationship with people as you deliver stuff. It's a spectacle. It tells them that they're important, and that respect element, I celebrate that. That's a brilliant idea. So thank you for sharing that.
They're not just people, they're our clients.
And they're our neighbours, and we love them.
Yeah, and they're important.
And food is about food is a celebration, mate. It should be accessible. Good food should be accessible to everyone. I mean, I'm sure everyone agrees with that. It's about fairness, fairness. And then, if people got good food, they're going to probably live a little bit longer.
And we've had a great help from Alex at Booker's. He's been really helpful. Luckily, thankful for him. Everyone's having fish and chips for Friday dinner tomorrow because they've donated the fish to celebrate Tom. What is he, Sir Knight, King Tom,
Colonel
Tom.
We're having a fish village to celebrate the Colonel's party tomorrow, and that's thanks to the donation from Bookers. Bookers have been amazing. That is the local wholesaler, but we couldn't have done it without them. I mean, their help has been absolutely wonderful.
The plastic containers we've got all our food in, they've given us a massive discount on, and they've been donating half of everything we buy. Right. It's just been incredible, and you can't go without.
Thank you, Bookers, mate, because they have really stepped up and helped their community and the East Brighton Food. I mean, the East Brighton Food Cup didn't even exist a few weeks ago.
No,
we're not actually officially. Yeah. We're not officially launching to June. You know, but you try telling that to the hundreds of people we're feeding every day.
Yeah,
they think we're already here.
Which takes us nicely on to the part of this bit, which is the call for help. And this is very much how our viewing public may be able to support what you're doing. And here we go. You need support, basically, into the long term, people actually joining the co-op. Buying the service if they can, because it helps subsidize the support for those who can't afford it, and also kind of being a part of the wider community. And of course, you do have an ongoing, it'd be useful if there's more funding to support you and more volunteers, not just now, but definitely once we come out of lockdown, once physical distancing is over, and you can carry on with your original plan about food classes and veg boxes and so on. And Jason, I particularly noted what you were saying, that you'd like to draw in the 16 to 18-year-olds, that they're very welcome. And what you're offering there sounds great. There's a apprenticeship in there, there's purpose, there's significance, you're saying?
And people in the community need that. I grew up in that area. And I moved away and I made a very good success of myself because someone gave me an opportunity. And hopefully we're here to give some opportunity to move on and better themselves. Yeah. And that's what the food co-op is about, is making people's lives better.
And what I'm hearing here is your ambition, your collective ambition to not make to make that opportunity a normal thing, a regular thing, something that's there day in, day out, year in, year out for not just the current young people, but the next young peoples and the generations after. So, I'm very happy to be sharing this ambition. So what I'd like to do, if I may, is just switch cameras and take you back to our wall of ambition. Here we are. Hi, guys.
Hello.
And the same thing applies to yourselves. I get to put your ambition calling card here on the wall of ambitions. Normally, we're out in the public. We get people browsing past. This time we're out on the internet asking for people who are passing by and watching the show, either now live or on the repeat, to message us, to get in touch. We'll make comments onto these post-it notes with my kind of collection of multicolored pens, and let's see if we can get tips, advice, thoughts that maybe you've not thought of, though it sounds like you thought of many things. Knowledge, people who can actually help on all of the levels, including those who could lobby in terms of policy, right the way through to those who can help widen your network of facilities, chefs, cooks, and local people wanting to help out and so on, as well as those who might be able to donate some funds. And money is limited at the moment in many, many areas, but if they are, then brilliant. And of course, those people who are in touch with large groups of young people in the kind of Bristol Estate, Whitehawk, East Brighton area and so on. It'd be great to have that. And it'd be a joy to get those those comments up here and share them with you.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
What I'd like to do now, if it's okay, is get Adam back in to do his lovely spiel about how people can get in touch with us so that we can get these comments up.
Yes, well, there's 3 ways you can do it. You can leave a comment underneath the Facebook video. You can click on the link that accompanies this video and you'll join us here in the broadcast, or you can send a message on the number that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen now, and that will take you through to Agatha, who's waiting for the WhatsApp messages coming her way. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Janet, Brian, and Jason, before you?
Yes. Yeah, I would love to add that the East Brighton COVID-19 Support Fund has fed our community for the first 6 weeks. All organisations are slow to respond, but they were there on March the 23rd buying food for the Bristol estate, and without that, we wouldn't have opened up these 2 community centres. We wouldn't have bought the equipment. We wouldn't have fed everyone. The East Brighton COVID-19 Support Fund that was set up by Darren at the Crew Club has basically fed this community since the start of COVID-19. Other organisations are getting on board now, and the food supplies are starting to come in. But without that fund, I tend to think there wouldn't have been nothing happening. So I'd like to say a big shout. And if anyone can donate to the East Brighton COVID-19 Support Fund to support our work during COVID-19, it's much appreciated. But also all the volunteers. There's been so many of them. They've all been wonderful. We've got Joe at Road Dean School with dentist freezers. We'd like to say a big thank you to...
Oh, sounds like we lost Brian again. But in any case, he was thanking a lot of people, and if you're involved, then I'm sure he's thanking you.
Yeah, we've had tremendous help. I mean, all the volunteers are absolutely amazing. We're all volunteers, and it's amazing. It is amazing, and it's hard work, and there's so many people to thank. Actually, it's a huge team effort. Yeah, and
we're so thankful you're doing it. And we've got to move on to our next participant who's ready and waiting. But just want to say one last huge thank you to you, the East Brighton Food Co-op, and we'll be making a social media post out of this as well and spreading it far and wide so we can try and get you some more support.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having us.
All right, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Food is love.
Food is love. Thank you so much, all you chats and Janet and everybody else who's involved in the East Brighton Food Co-op. Okay, let's dive straight into the next participant's ambition, because Sarah has been waiting nice and patiently and enjoying the conversation as well. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, very good. It's non-stop. It's very animated and energetic tonight, which is great. So tell us all about your goal, idea, or ambition. What is it that you'd like to do?
Cool. Well, first of all, I just think everyone is amazing, and I'm so overwhelmed by all the cool things that are going on in Brighton. There's so many people that I want to talk to afterwards. Me, what do I do? So my goal or ambition is to bring together the creative industries and the arts with mental health experts to make virtual reality experiences to help with mental well-being. So I've been working across immersive technology and mental health for a few years now, and I work across 2 projects. So the first one is called Explore Deep, and it's a breath-controlled virtual reality experience. So you put a virtual reality, with my prop here, you put a virtual reality headset on, and it takes you into this sort of magical underwater world. And then we've developed a breath sensor. So this is a little belt that you wear around your diaphragm. And so that measures your breathing. And so the way that you travel through this magical world is through your breath. And so we've been developing it with the Games for Emotional and Mental Health Lab in the Netherlands, and put it through lots of trials to see how effective this is in helping anxiety and mental health conditions. So we found some really good data from it, and now we're looking at ways to be able to support its development a little bit more. Sorry, talking. And then the other thing I'm also working on is an experience called Hatsumi, which is an adaptation of an existing form of art therapy called body mapping. More props. So body mapping is an existing form of art therapy, as you might be able to see here. It's maybe a little bit big. And so what happens is you draw around your body and you go through a mindfulness experience, and you start to think about, for example, what does like anxiety look like? How do you feel anxiety in your body? And what sort of like colors or words or textures can you use to communicate that? And so what I've been doing is, paper everywhere, is translating that into a virtual reality experience where you have a life-size body in front of you, and you can illustrate on that using 3D drawing tools. So again, we're looking at how we can bring that to hospitals and mental health institutions, schools, and thinking about how young people maybe don't have the words to talk about their issues, and how you can use art and drawing to explore that.
This is incredible. You've got it all sorted. You're coming at us from all angles. It's fantastic. Are you happy to tell us how you got into this? You know, what drew you into doing all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Brighton. I'm a Brighton local, and after I graduated, I ended up working in contemporary art for a while. I think I first started to do that after I lost my father to cancer, and it was obviously a very difficult time. But I didn't ever really process it until a few years later. And so I was working at a local arts organisation called Lighthouse, which I definitely recommend checking out because they're amazing. And I went on holiday and I ended up having what was later called a psychotic episode. And so it was going through the sort of mental health services that I just felt like there weren't words to talk about my experience. And having worked in the arts, I thought, well, wouldn't it be really interesting to create experiences where you could show that first person experience of what it's like to almost live in another world for a little bit. And I discovered virtual reality and thought, wow, like what an interesting tool. And so since then, I've been discovering how it's been used in pain management, how it's almost as effective as painkillers, how it's used in mental health therapies, how you can create safe spaces for relaxation as well. And it's just such a shame that no one really knows about this yet. And it's really inaccessible because headsets are expensive. And how do we bring that to, you know, the communities that need it the most?
And this work that you've been doing so far, what kind of impact has it had on people?
I mean, it makes people cry and laugh and talk about things in very different ways. With Deep, then we've been running a series of studies on how much it's able to help people. And they found that in a study working with children with very complex needs, so things like autism or psychosis and schizophrenia, then they found that Deep was really effective in reducing disruptive classroom behavior. And that people were able to pay attention for longer and feel much calmer. Again, dealing with people with quite severe anxiety, that's been really helpful with that as well. So we're speaking to some hospitals in Devon at the moment about ways that we can work with people coming out of ICU there to use this. And again, with Hatsumi, then I've been working with some pain clinics as well for people that have been seeing their pain nurses for a really long time and showing them what their pain looks like. Because the problem is, it's usually, you know, give us a number between 1 and 10, how much pain are you in? And that doesn't mean anything, but if you can be like, it hurts here and it feels like this and it stings like electricity, then we found that it changes the conversation and actually can improve that patient-doctor communication.
And from your perspective, what kind of effect have you seen the whole COVID-19 situation having?
I mean, on a mental health level, like, you know, there's a whole tsunami of mental health conditions to come. I think Helen summarized it so beautifully earlier, especially when thinking about, well, who's going to care for the carers as well? And how do we create these sort of spaces where people can relax or talk about their experiences? But ultimately, you know, people are isolated and this isn't going to go away for a long time. And so what I really imagine is there's going to be a future where we're prescribing virtual reality headsets and we can deliver therapies remotely. But not just that, we can make it fun and beautiful and interesting, and you can connect with your friends. Because I've been going to birthday parties in VR. Someone in Brighton created a whole world that my friend really loves. She's really into circus skills, so she made this kind of circus fire universe, and we all got to be together, and that's lovely when we haven't been able to do that in a really long time.
So how does it actually look when you put the headset on? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
I mean, there's so many different experiences out there. It's like being taken into another world. With Deep, if you go to exploredeep.com, then you can see some of the visuals. But at least with Deep, then yeah, it's this kind of beautiful, mysterious world with different animals that will move around. Things will glow and change in tandem to your breath, and so it's about kind of having this feeling that you're able to control that world. And yeah, every experience is different, and I think that's what makes it so magical.
Oh, I want to give it a go. Okay, so what do you want to say to the people watching this? How can they help you?
Talk about it. Just tell people how cool virtual reality could be, because I think the problem is that people just don't understand these things. I mean, there's the classic stuff that we are constantly fundraising to pay the artists that are central to every single team to make these happen, and help us continue to work with the scientists that help us run the research as well. So please tweet, share, all of those things. We're also looking for hospitals, care homes, schools, or any mental health organisations that think that they might be able to use it as well. We'd really love to trial it in places. I'm also trying to see if we can get our sensor redeveloped. What I want to do is create it in silicone, so it's easier to clean, and makes it, and so we can make it Bluetooth as well, so we don't need to have wires. So if anyone's a sensor expert out there, look me up.
And how do they look you up?
That's a good question. You can email me. My email is Sarah, SARAH, at hatsumivr.com. So that's HATSUMIVR.com. Or on Twitter, I'm just at Sarah Ticho, TICHO.
And we can find you. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all this. I'm going to share now the 3 ways that people can get in touch, just while Andy prepares himself to clarify everything that you said. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking, I want to get involved, or I'm a sensor expert, whatever it is that you think you could help Sarah with, then you can leave a comment underneath this Facebook Live video, or on YouTube if that's where you're watching this, or you can click on the video that you'll see around. Click on the link that you see around the video, and you can actually join us here in this broadcast, and then you can share with Sarah yourself what it is that you can contribute. Or you can send a message on WhatsApp to Agatha. She will be passing on those messages to us. Okay, Sarah, so I'm going to hand you over to Andy now, who's got your ambition calling card ready and waiting.
Love it, love it.
Hello, Sarah. Hey, it's so nice to see you again.
Yeah,
obviously,
a while.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? At the moment, I'm a disembodied voice that goes alongside the ambition calling card, but my face will appear in due course, I promise you. And this is such an exciting initiative you're sharing with us. Thank you for doing so. I think I may have got a little confused at the beginning, but there you are with an ambition to bring together technology and mental well-being supporters. And you also mentioned an art element in there. So art, technology, and mental well-being support to help virtual reality, which I've abbreviated there as VR, to support people. And there's something fantastic in there. You talked about the 2 current projects that are going on, using technology to help understand and communicate the lived experience of the patient, the person going through that experience, into therapy, into diagnosis, and into from what you're saying, some degree of self-care and ongoing care. And they gave some brilliant examples. And I kind of wish that we were able to put this whole thing out as VR and be able to come up and just actually, we can walk around things and so on. That would be so much fun.
High five and hug.
Yeah, oh yeah, I do miss the hugs. So in terms of the help that might be useful now, your very first call, the one that I heard most, was basically to get people talking more about this, to raise awareness, to bring that perspective in, to ask, to talk, to tweet, to share. And there's some interesting things going on in here about getting that conversation there that moves us into other ways of intervening, of helping, that are not just drug therapy and that are much more focused and more explicit. You're looking also for care locations, hospitals, surgery, places where they'll be happy to partner with you for to run more trials, to actually give this a go with people. And the last thing I heard in there is, as Adam said, the sensor expert, which of course the mind boggles a bit. So some technological guru or genius out there who may have been furloughed, I don't know, who has the time.
Brighton, it's not surprising. I think people have lots of weird and wonderful hobbies and activities here, so you never know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Can I add one last thing as well?
Yes.
I would love to find an illustrator that would be able to help with some concept art as well.
Great.
If I could add that in. Lots of asks.
Illustrator to help with concept art. And of course, Brighton and Hove being a city full of incredibly creative people, it'll be a joy to put out that out there, and I hope you get inundated.
I hope so. Because, yeah, I think what's really interesting about this is that, you know, for so long, creative industries has been something so different to mental health. But when you think about how important storytelling and films have always been for teaching us about the world and how stretched the NHS is at the moment as well, then especially the games industry, it's actually now worth more than film and music combined. So if we harness all of that creative talent and bring it together with scientists and nurses and doctors and patients as well, which is the most important thing for if you're thinking about getting into this, then you've always got to design it with patients to find out what's best for them. So.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is just swap the camera over. I got to admit, hi.
Hi.
I'm pretty excited by what you're sharing with us. And the ability to communicate from a position of vulnerability, from a position of pain, or a position of confusion. And, you know, we are, what's that big word? Dissonance. We're in really confused dissonance with all this COVID and lockdown and so on. So being able to better express ourselves, it sounds like you are offering a pathway to help people communicate so much more eloquently without words as well.
I hope so. Yeah, I think it's important when dealing with mental health conditions and pain as well. I mean, half of the whole country lives with chronic pain, then to realize that you're not alone. So one of the later ambitions, because we're trying to do one thing at a time, is think about how once we've had a lot of illustrations created, how we can make an exhibition and create almost like a terracotta army of lived experience, talking about difficult things we've overcome, but also the good things as well. You know, what does it look like the first time you tell somebody you love them, or what did it feel like the first time you saw your mum after lockdown, you know? And so I think it's just, you know, changing the conversation about mental health and experience and doing it in a beautiful way.
That's wonderful, especially the bit after we come out of the protection thing, we can get back into, you know, enjoying and growing again. Sarah, your ambition calling card, the one that I've scribed for you, is now here on the wall of ambitions. And as I've said, here we are with my 7.5 foot tall wall that normally goes out with us to public spaces, and we invite people in to just meander around, have a browse, and possibly grab one of the plethora, great word that, I enjoy that word, of Post-its available, and pick up a nice little coloured pen and make some comments. Generally speaking, we tend to get 3 types of comments. Words of encouragement, tips, advice, maybe something that people haven't thought of. We really welcome that, because those lateral thoughts.
Oh, I accidentally pressed play and it won't turn off.
I suddenly thought I had background music. Actually, I thought I might be being played off because we're heading towards the 8 o'clock.
It's happened before.
Point. Anyway, so yes, and of course, if you know somebody who runs a surgery, who runs a care location where Sarah can come in and set up this, and you can demonstrate an experience and try out the technology, that will give them incredible data, and it'll give you the experience of seeing how it works and be able to help grow and develop this as a clinical intervention, as well as a quality of life, a well-being improvement process, and so on. So other contacts in there would be very welcome. And of course, if you happen to be a sensor expert or some other kind of well-connected, well-knowledgeable person, and you'd like to come along on this journey, you know, get in touch, have a chat with Sarah. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to discuss this with you. Adam, come and join us again. Hi.
Hello again. I know you're going to ask me about how to get in touch, right?
I was going to, but you did such a good job earlier on. In fact, let me ask again, because repetition is our friend. Adam, how can people get in touch?
First way is to leave a comment underneath this Facebook Live video or on YouTube, depending on where you're watching it. Or you can click on the link that's right next to this video, and you can actually join us right here in this broadcast, and you can talk to Sarah yourself, or you can come on after she's left as well and share your comment. Or you can get in touch on WhatsApp if that's your preferred method, and the number will be coming across the bottom of your screen right now. Agatha is ready and waiting with her fish and chips tonight for your WhatsApp messages. So we've actually got somebody already who wants to have a little talk with you, Sarah, just to offer a little something that might be of interest, and it's Helen. Hello, Helen.
Yeah, you never can get too much screen time. No, but yeah, so basically I am a nurse, so I might be able to get you contacts. I mean, when you do anything, studies like that in the NHS, there's normally a few hoops to go through. The independent sector might not have as many hoops, but what we could do is maybe like have a chat about it and see which different things would be really useful for, in terms of, doing a trial. I think it's a brilliant idea. And because we already, for the elderly, for example, we do different types of therapy, which is about music and the old days and that sort of stuff. Could be really good for those and patients with dementia and helping calming. I mean, I really can see the benefits of it, definitely. So I'm quite happy to give you a bit of insight into the NHS and other areas to help you navigate it a bit, because it's a bit of a minefield.
Yes, it certainly is. I would love that. Thank you, Helen.
You're welcome.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's really kind. Thank you for sticking around and offering that support for Sarah. That's what we love to see, these connections being made. So thanks so much, Helen.
Yeah,
Okay, so they'll be on the Facebook page, will it? Your Sarah's contact details will.
Yeah, I'll see if we can get each other's emails afterwards or something. And
Okay, cool.
Message.
Yeah, well, and also Sarah, if there's any kind of web details or email address or whatever that you'd like to put out there to the world, if you comment on the Facebook Live video, then everyone can see it as well. And then you can make sure as well that Helen's got those.
Cool.
And thank you so much, Helen. You might have just noticed there that I was prematurely trying to bring in the Hatsumi website.
Hey, there we go.
What it looks like. So this is where you can go. Would you just like to read out the web address for people?
Yeah, so it's www.hatsumivr.com. And if you're wondering, Hatsumi means to see something for the first time. So it's about how we make invisible things visible.
Perfect. Wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share or ask before we move on, Sarah?
I think that's everything, but I really love what you're doing, and I think it's so nice to feel embedded in the community here. So I just think everyone on the show has been amazing. I'm glad we all have this platform.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to be making a social media post out of this ambition as well. And it's been really nice, actually. Just today, a couple of people have been helped through the Ambitions of Brighton social media campaign that we do. So a couple of people that were on our online event last week, one wanted to do some research for a project around refugees in Greece, and she's actually connected with somebody today who's looking to collaborate with her. So that's great. And there was somebody else, Carrie, who wanted to find out how to publish her children's storybooks, and she's connected with somebody today who's published her book. So you never know. There's no guarantees there'll be somebody out there watching or reading or listening who's got the perfect answer for what you need. But if you get it out to the universe, more often than not, it responds. So we'll try and do that for you as well, Sarah.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
All right, great stuff. Thanks a lot, Sarah. Bye-bye. Okay, we've got about, a minute and a half, Andy, before we have a little pause. For carers. Yes, it's that time almost already. So I was wondering if we should just have a quick recap of what we've had so far.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to be my timekeeper as I take people on a tour of the wall. And we had Bryn earlier on from Brighton Permaculture Trust. And amongst other projects, they're doing this wonderful thing about using local fruit to produce delicious, and they are, fruit juice and drinks, which they are finding a way of getting through to people who are food poor. And in a partnership with Fair Share, they're looking for people to help fund that. For a donation, they can get 6 bottles of this delicious stuff through to Fair Share and distribute it out to people who would really benefit. And it's delicious, it's healthy and good stuff. We've also had Helen, hi again, Helen, who has this incredible experience working as a professional in the healthcare profession. and she's looking at how that knowledge can be shared through to the other professionals, how the self-care and the professional care can go through. She's launching a conference, date to be announced in the middle of June, and is looking for help with the technicals, certainly help with the running costs, and letting other people know, and we're bound to know people who are in that profession who might really benefit from the knowledge exchange there. And of course, Brian, Janet, and Jason, it was great to have them on. Janet had probably the best mask I've seen the whole lockdown. Incredible thing. And they are doing wonderful work in the Bristol Estate, Whitehawk, East Brighton area with food stuff. Is it time?
Yes,
I
time to
believe
wrap up. We're gonna pop away for just a few minutes for Clap the
Yeah.
Carers, and we'll be back in just a few short minutes.
Stay with us.
And we're back. I hope you enjoyed your clapping, if that's what you were doing. So we've heard from how many people? 4 people who have come onto our online event this evening to share their personal goal, idea, or ambition. If you're just joining us, then this is a special event tonight because it's the World Day of Ambition, and this is where people are coming on to share their personal goals, ideas, and ambitions. And we put the invitation out there for you to support them in any way if you can. So today being the World Day of Ambition, we thought we'd just share 2 ambitions that have come in from elsewhere. So first of all, we've actually had an ambition from Michelle, who has said very simply, her ambition is to help as many people as she can to live in their true beauty without fear. Itself is pretty beautiful. And we've also had an ambition coming in from someone called Gile, who's in Manaus in Brazil. So Manaus is in the Amazonia region. And he said that what he wants to do is go and visit France. He really wants to visit the south of France and discover a lot of good local food. And so he thinks it's a manageable ambition to do, if only he were able to get there. And he wants to be able to communicate in French with local people. So I suppose one of the things he needs to do is find some French people to practice with. And also he wants to learn how to cook while he's out there. And so he wants to identify with what makes real French cuisine so unique. And he's not talking about the fancy stuff. He kind of wants to know how to make the real stuff. So if anybody out there knows who you could connect him to in order to experience real French cuisine, then just leave a comment on this Facebook Live video or on YouTube if you're watching there. And we'll be able to pass it on to Gile. Or yes, the other option is to send a WhatsApp message to the number that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen in just a moment. So Andy, how about we go to our 5th and final participant? Yes, there's the number. Shall we go to our final participant of the evening?
Yes, it'll be a delight. I believe we've got Paul with us, haven't we?
We certainly do. Good evening, Paul.
Evening. Hi. Hi, Adam. Hi, Andy.
And how are you doing, Paul?
Good, thanks. Good. Yeah, just been out for a nice walk on the downs with my dog.
Yeah, no, you said you were going to do that. And how's the downs looking?
It was lovely. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I'm not actually in or around Brighton at the moment. I'm up in my hometown in Burton-on-Trent. And so, I'm missing the downs, but I'm very lucky. I'm right next to the river here, so I do get a nice place to go and do my exercise. Anyhow, let's talk about what you're here for, and that's to share your own goal, idea, or ambition. So tell us all about it.
Well, so I was going to talk about our Gig Buddies project. So I direct a charity based in Brighton called Stay Up Late, and we run a project called Gig Buddies, which matches up people with learning disabilities with a volunteer who loves the same kind of music, or it could be anything, whatever your gig is. So it could even be if you're both fans of Burton Albion, for example, or something. Yeah. Or it could be like walking on the downs or going to hardcore punk gigs. It's all about people, supporting people with learning disabilities, really, to achieve their ambitions in life and be part of mainstream society and meet other people who share the same passions, rather than being pathologized and told they have to go to a certain kind of event because they have a learning disability. So we're trying to break the mold on that, and we have been breaking the mold on that.
So would you say your ambition is to grow this, to expand it, to get more people involved?
Yeah, absolutely. We started it in Brighton 7 years ago, and now we've got it running in one in Sydney in Australia, and we've got it running in Portsmouth, in Cardiff, in Bradford, Halifax, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Oxford, Croydon, all various places. So one of my ambitions is to get more going. We thought there were going to be more going this year. We had plans to open up some more. We were looking at near your area, actually looking at Leicestershire and Swindon. I think that's all being put on hold at the moment. but it's made me more determined than ever, actually, because I think, you know, there's lots of people learning disabilities stuck in lockdown like the rest of us. And we want to make sure that, you know, as soon as we can safely do it, that we can support more and more people to go out and have a rich cultural life and make new friends.
And what kind of impact has the lockdown had on the people that benefit from Gig Buddies?
Well, you know, bearing in mind the whole ethos of the project is about supporting people to make friendships by going out to busy places where there's loads of other human beings. It's sort of, you know, through a complete spanner in the works, obviously, because all the places we were hanging out just shut overnight. So what we've been doing is we've set about doing all sorts of things. First and foremost, we just started phoning everybody that we work with regularly, just checking in with them, just seeing how they were and just having a friendly chat. We've been running coffee mornings through Zoom calls. We've been doing socials. So we've had pub quizzes and dance parties. And all sorts of different things in the evenings, and then I started because I didn't want the gigs to stop, you know. So I thought, how could we keep the gigs going, the live music? So I started this Facebook page called Coronavirus Fest, and I just emailed Lauren Laverne at BBC 6 because she was looking for good news stories that day. It was just before lockdown started, but it was when social distancing had really come in, and she just read it out. So that's been going since before lockdown started. Coronavirus Fest happens 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There's just live performers streaming from their front rooms across the nation. Musicians with learning disabilities and without. Next week, we've got Andy Diagram, who's the trumpet player from James, playing. We've got some punks from Denmark playing on Monday night. You know, I think we've got someone from New Zealand playing next week as well. Actually, it's really sort of really kicked off. Yeah.
Wow. This is fascinating, and I'm loving the names you've got involved as well. And I bet you didn't really imagine that this is what you'd be doing just a couple of months ago. How crazy has it been for you?
Exactly. I mean, it's forced. You know, yeah. I had my, you know, who it was like this. I always forget his name, but it was like this Prussian general from the 19th century said that no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy, and you know, I had our wonderful 5-year strategy all written, you know, and working through that. And you know, that's the moment when you screw something up and throw it out the window. I think, right, what are we going to do now? So you know, so there was two projects started up immediately that I hadn't dreamt of. What one was that one, the online festival, and then the other one is we're just starting a project of trying to get more people digitally connected, because we realized, well, we didn't realize, we always knew there was about 25% of the people we work with weren't connected on the internet. But to be honest, I never really saw it as our thing to try and sort that out. And always thought that's probably more around the sort of digital inclusion type charities that should be dealing with that. But now it's front and foremost, I think it's become our responsibility to connect the people we work with, because I don't personally believe that this is the only lockdown. I think we might end up in a cycle of lockdowns. So that's what I'm preparing for. So I want to make sure that people, as many people as possible, have got a smartphone and some access to the internet, so that they can join us on the Zoom calls and they can speak to their family on WhatsApp and all of those sort of things. So we're going to be getting people tooled up with a really reasonably priced smartphone, give them 6 months free internet connection on that, get them trained up and connected, and then it's up to them if they want to carry on after that. You know, we've found this really cheap cheap SIM card that they can sign up to and things like that. So yeah, that's what that wasn't a project I thought we were going to be doing this year, but we sort of supercharged it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to the start of the idea? I mean, I'm really interested to hear about what made you decide to actually set up Gig Buddies in the first place. You know, what was that moment when you realised that there was a need here?
So the charity began originally. I was the bass player in a punk band called Heavy Load, and 3 of the members of the band had a learning disability, and we were. This was back in the 90s, and we were doing our thing and touring around the country and our live shows were always very energetic, raucous, completely chaotic, very sweary things. We were quite an unusual band, and especially there was nothing else like us because 3 of the members had learning disabilities. And so a film company found out about us and followed us around for 2.5 years and made a documentary, which is also called Heavy Load. And one of the stories in the documentary was how we were getting fed up with watching our fans being taken out of gigs at 9 o'clock. We were just getting on stage, and support workers were telling people with learning disabilities they've got to go home, and that was because support workers couldn't work past 10 o'clock at night. So that's when we started the Stay Up Late campaign, and that was featured in the film. And the film was on the BBC, and it was on the TV in the US, and it was on at cinemas and things. So we got a huge wide audience of people who all said, yeah, you know, this is an issue. We've been worrying about this for ages, and now somebody's actually saying something about it. So we started Stay Up Late as a campaign. The band, we finished after 15 years. We finished in 2012. By that time, we'd set up the charity to carry on the work we'd started, and it was in 2012. Just through a chat, really, in a trustees meeting. It started off. We were talking about there must be people going to gigs in their cars who've got empty seats in their cars. How can we enable people with learning disabilities to sit in those empty seats, basically? And from that, Gig Buddies, the idea just grew. We're like, how can we match people up so that they're going based on their shared interests? I just knew that it was something, knowing people with learning disabilities in Brighton, and I knew I worked with people a lot. I knew there was a desire for it locally, so just set it up without any research, really. I just assumed other people would have thought of it, and it turned out it was a unique idea, and that's why it's grown in other places. You know, that other organisations come to us and said, right, how can we copy it? So it's been really exciting. And the first one we copied that we replicated was in Sydney, which was just wild. You know, I actually got really excited when Croydon and Portsmouth said they'd like to have it because it's a lot easier to work with you know, just hop on the train and be in Croydon in 40 minutes, whereas Sydney, they're opposite end of the day. You know, I think we had a Zoom with them on Wednesday. It was 9:30 in the morning, but it was dark over there, and they're all holding glasses of wine. Yeah, I think they're about 11 hours ahead of us or something.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you go there and help them set it up?
Yeah, and I was out there this year, helping them celebrate their 5th anniversary. That was another strange thing that happened this year. I had an email back in late January, mid-January, just said, "Oh, we're wondering why you'd never replied to this email, and we realised that we'd never sent it to you. Can you come out and join our 5th birthday party?" So I had about 3 weeks' notice to plan this trip, and I was probably only about a month after, you know, shy of of hitting lockdown. Actually, I mean, it could have gone completely wrong, couldn't it? It could have been stuck out there.
Just a bit. So
Yeah.
what's your answer to the people watching this live, and people who watch this after it's been broadcast as well? What would you like to ask from them?
Well, I think really it's about perhaps thinking about what could your ambition be about welcoming somebody else into your life, somebody with a learning disability that you can then build friendship with and go out to do things. So we're in Sussex, and our website is gigbuddies.org.uk. But on there as well is a list of all of the other sites as well. And if you happen to like be like a senior person in social care or something, get in touch. And if you want it in your area, we're always open to chat about that.
Tremendous stuff. I'm going to pass you over to Andy now, who has been writing your calling card. In fact, just before I do, I'll just remind people of how they can get in touch if they want to answer that call. And you can do so by leaving a comment underneath the Facebook Live video or on YouTube, if that's where you're watching us. Or you can click on the link that's right next to this video, and it will bring you into this broadcast, and you can have a quick chat with Paul yourself. Or if you want to communicate with us via WhatsApp, then you'll see the number scroll across the bottom of your screen right now, and Agatha will be waiting for your message to come through. So Andy's been busy scribing away, trying to get all of this down, and we'll go to him in a second. I think he's still writing. Oh no, there he is. He's ready now. So let's head over to Andy over at the Wall of Ambitions.
Hey, Paul.
Hi,
Hey,
Andy.
thanks for coming on. It's so nice to see you again. It's great to hear. It's great to hear the story of how it all started again. I really enjoy that, and the kind of the wild background, the wild.
Yeah. I realise I'm sitting in darkness. Shall I put a light on? Hold on a
Oh,
second.
please. I mean, I'm sure folks would like to see your face. Whilst you're doing that, I'm hoping you can hear me, because I'm going to say what's on the ambition calling card, which is that I've written that there you are running Stay Up Late, and one of the projects in it is Gig Buddies, matching people with learning difficulties with others who share their interests and passions. And that's where people come together, our shared interests, our shared passions. So to me, this is where the inspiration in your project is. I love that. And in fact, it's the heart of what we're trying to do here in Ambigo, just connect people up on what we share as the interest. Yep. It brings us together. And you now want this project to go even further around the world, even beyond Sydney and Portsmouth and so on, which is a lovely idea. And of course, to be able to push that on further as soon as possible after we get out of lockdown, after we get out of this. I suspect you might be right, and preparing for a series of lockdowns, which may be regional, they may be national, is probably a really sensible thing to be prepared for, even if we don't have to. Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of your call for help, the need thing, there's a lovely statement there, which is really just for people to consider. Could they possibly open up their lives? Could they possibly welcome people in who happen to be coping with learning difficulties, but also happen to share this interest? And I love the role that you would have and others running these kind of things in matching people on shared interests. The kind of, oh, you're into macrame and punk as well. Fair enough. I've got someone for you. Or whatever those interests are. And also, I heard you say, if there is somebody out there who is responsible or has that connections in a particular region who wants to open it up in, Burford-upon-Trent or somewhere else, Haverford or Istanbul, I don't know, somewhere else. Then, and as today we're going out internationally, then across the world, of course, get in touch. It will be a delight to make the connection between yourself and Paul. And he's sitting on top of a lot of experience on putting this particular thing together, full of tips and advice on how to do it, how to run it, pitfalls, things that really make it enjoyable. So it'll be a delight to be able to make those connections. Paul, in terms of the ambition calling card, is there anything there I've missed or misunderstood?
No, I think that's you've really summed it up beautifully there, Andy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Let me change cameras then. And this is the bit where I get to wave at the camera. Hi, it's
Hello.
good to see you again. This is what I look like. It's quite hot over here. And I get to grab the ambition and plant it nice and solidly on the wall of ambition, our 7.5 foot tall, black, fancy kind of wall of ambitions that normally goes out with us. And we allow people to just meander, browse at their own speed, at their own pace, grab a post-it note and make a few comments. And, you know, often we get a lot of comments that are tips, advice, maybe something that you've not thought of, or as somebody who says, I love this idea, I would love to be involved. And that's what we'd like as well. So if you could possibly be available as a gig buddy, then get in touch. We'll get you connected up with Stay Up Late with Paul and his team and so on. And in the first place, you can join in on the Corona Festival, the COVID festival, and then who knows where that might lead to. And the nice depth about this is it's from that shared interest becomes friendships, and this is the lovely thing to see emerge out of this. And of course, any other comments, little words of advice. Now, what I normally do is ask Adam to jump back in again, and here he is, because he now has down pat this wonderful, eloquent way of inviting people, of telling them how they can get in touch with us.
Well, I'm
Adam,
just glancing at the time and seeing we've got just a few minutes left, so you've got to be really quick if you want to communicate with Paul directly now. So you can either comment underneath this Facebook Live video or on YouTube. You can click on the link that's right next to this video and it'll bring you into the broadcast, or you can send a message on WhatsApp to Agatha, and the number is about to scroll across the bottom of your screen. Paul, I was just wondering, Andy mentioned the friendships that are formed through Gig Buddies. I just wondered if you'd share with us an example of the positive impact that it has on people's lives.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got so many different stories. I can think of like one young man who came with his mum to our annual general meeting a few years back, and one of our loveliest volunteers said to him, "Oh, welcome, come in." And he just ran out the building. He was so shy. He was so nervous about somebody saying that to him. But anyway, we connected with him. He started coming to our socials, which was just like beer and burger nights, and we've matched him up with his buddy Gareth. This guy, he has a huge passion for Miles Davis and jazz music, John Coltrane and stuff like that. Plays the saxophone. He's a young man with Down syndrome, and now they just go out to all sorts of gigs in all sorts of places. He's been out clubbing with us to 2 o'clock in the morning, doing all sorts of things, and it's just transformed his life. And also, you know, he was going out with his mum all the time, and you know, he's now going out with somebody who's kind of in more of his sort of like more connected with what he's into, and kind of a bit nearer his a lot nearer his age group as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it'd be like going clubbing until 2 in the morning with my mum.
It's weird, a weird idea, I think. Yeah.
I've met your mum. You might actually have a nice time.
Well,
yeah, well, I think she's probably watching. So, Mum, how about it after lockdown? Anyhow, Paul, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close this online event?
Well, I mean, I think, it's just a really our aim is to keep things really simple. Like we said, it's just about trying to connect. It's not about the gigs at all. It's about using them as a way of creating a bond and friendships, and letting those grow in all sorts of wonderful ways. So thanks for the opportunity to chat about the project.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. And also, we're going to be making a social media post out about this as well. So we'll be spreading that far and wide too, so that we can get some more people involved, hopefully. And yeah, who knows, maybe a new Gig Buddies location for you too. Okay, thanks, Paul. If you're good to, it would be great if you could just hang on while we close the show, and we'll have a quick chat after this about other future possibilities. But for now, thanks so much, Paul.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Andy, here we are. We've reached the end of the World Day of Ambition edition of our Exchange online events, and we've had 5 fantastic ambitions coming through. It's been a very vibrant online event, hasn't it?
Been a joy. Can I say a little word just to let you know that although this particular show is now coming to an end, the live stream will stop. As Adam has said, the video will be available for you to rewatch. And if you're making comments, which, please do, just do so in the comments below. They will come through to us. We'll be monitoring them, and we'll be still making those connections as best we can. And do so if you're overseas. Let us know how things have been for you. We'd love to hear from. We'd love to make new friends in your country as well.
Terrific. So we'll be back next week on Friday. So we do these every Friday normally. This week was an exception. So we're going to be doing these for the foreseeable future, Friday evenings, 6:30 till 8:30 UK time. So we'll see you then. And if you've got your own goal, idea, or ambition that you'd like to share, get in touch with us as well. And we'll be able to share it, and you'll be able to come on to one of these online events. But for now,